In the heart of the Pacific Ocean lies a mysterious island that has remained isolated from the rest of the world for centuries, representing the legacy of an ancient people of whom we have no more traces. We are talking about the famous Rapa Nui, known for its enormous and enigmatic statues that over the years have inspired extraordinary theories and hypotheses. As we will see, however, the incredible statues present on this isolated strip of land are not the only mystery. Much more is hidden in the artifacts found on this tiny island surrounded by thousands of kilometers of ocean. Before embarking on this fascinating journey, if you haven't already, we invite you to subscribe to the channel to support our work and not miss our new videos. On April 5, 1722, during Easter Sunday, the Dutch explorer Jakob Roggeveen sighted Rapa Nui for the first time, which he named Easter Island in honor of the day of its discovery. Roggeveen had been sent by the Dutch West India Company with the goal of finding the legendary Terra Australis, but instead, he discovered this remote Pacific island. The natives warmly welcomed Roggeveen and his men, offering them food and gifts. However, due to a misunderstanding, a conflict arose, and some natives were killed by the Dutch sailors out of fear of an attack. The natives were very cordial, offering fruit and poultry and exchanging their goods with our striped linen, which they seemed very satisfied with. A conflict broke out when one of our men was attacked while the natives tried to take his musket. Some natives were killed during the ensuing shootout. Roggeveen notes in his diary a curious detail regarding the physical appearance of the inhabitants of this remote island. They exhibited a variety of physical traits, with some having blonde or red hair, a surprising characteristic that piqued our curiosity. How could the inhabitants of an island lost in the Pacific Ocean have physical characteristics totally different from any neighboring population? How did they reach that remote place? This is an interesting clue we will return to later. While Roggeveen described the geography of the island and the physical appearance of Rapa Nui's inhabitants in his diaries, the first to talk about the statues was James Cook during his visit to the island in 1774. On the east side, near the sea, they encountered 3 stone platforms, or rather the ruins of them. On each were erected 4 of those large statues, but all had fallen. All but one had been broken by the fall or otherwise defaced. Mr. Wales measured this one and found it to be 15 feet long and 6 feet wide at the shoulders. Each statue had on its head a large cylinder of red stone, perfectly rounded. Cook was impressed by the size and number of artifacts and the advanced techniques the island's inhabitants had used to carve and position them. Some of the larger statues were still standing, and Cook observed that the shadow of one was sufficient to shelter a group of about 30 people from the sun. From these very first observations, we derive important elements. The first is that the inhabitants of this remote island show very particular physical characteristics: blonde or red hair and light skin, which are certainly not peculiar to that region. The second element is that the statues described by Cook appear abandoned and many lie on the ground. Today we know that Easter Island hosts at least 900 moai statues, whose height ranges from a modest 1 meter to an impressive 10 meters, with some weighing up to 82 tons, 3 times the weight of the megalithic stones at Stonehenge. These colossal figures, once considered only giant heads without bodies, have also revealed a surprising truth. In 2017, a team of researchers conducted excavations that unearthed the torsos and waists of the statues buried in the ground. This discovery unveiled the complexity and skill of the ancient inhabitants of this island but raised a fascinating question. Why do the statues appear buried? From the study of the moai statues, it has emerged that they were not intentionally buried by the island's ancient inhabitants. Rather, the statues were gradually covered by soil due to natural processes of soil deposition, erosion, and other geological and climatic phenomena. Historians estimate that the statues are about 800 years old, but this contradicts the timeline needed for their natural burial. Considering the island's climatic conditions, the soil accumulation rate was found to be about 0.5 millimeters per year. Given that the statues are on average buried by about 7 meters, if we accept this estimate, it would have taken about 15,000 years for their natural burial. Clearly, these are speculative estimates, but they undoubtedly raise an interesting question. Who could have built these extraordinary artifacts in such a remote era? But this is not the only curious aspect. Another interesting aspect is that the moai statues are made in a minimalist style. with oversized heads and relatively small bodies. The hands are sculpted in relief along the sides of the statues, with fingers extending downward to the abdomen. The fingers often meet at the navel, a position interpreted as symbolically significant by scholars. These features are consistent with Polynesian artistic traditions, where the navel is seen as a vital and symbolic center of the body. The long fingers pointing to the navel could therefore represent a gesture of spiritual power or authority. But this is not a unique characteristic of Polynesian culture. Interestingly, if we go to the other side of the world, specifically to Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, we find statues with thin hands depicted close to the body and directed towards the navel. Moreover, a surprising similarity can also be noted by observing the petroglyphs on the back of the moai statues. These indeed appear very similar to the carvings found at Göbekli Tepe, which is estimated to be about 12,000 years old. These similarities might have a non-coincidental connection. The moai statues of Easter Island are not the only mysterious artifacts on this small and remote island. If we go to the southwestern part of the island, near the Mataveri International Airport, we find the megalithic walls of Vinapu. The walls of Vinapu, built with perfectly cut and fitted stone blocks without mortar, show a technical sophistication that might suggest an evolution of construction techniques over time. Some archaeologists believe that this type of construction could represent an advanced phase of the island's culture. If we look at the details of these incredible structures, we cannot help but notice that they are identical to other megalithic walls scattered around the world, such as those at Machu Picchu, Sacsayhuaman, and Ollantaytambo in Peru, or those in Egypt and even Japan. Despite this incredible similarity, historians and archaeologists maintain that there is no connection between South America and Easter Island, let alone with other parts of the world such as Egypt and Japan. But if we go to Latin America, we find another very curious similarity between the moai statues and strange figures found on the cliffs of Peru, attributed to the Chachapoya culture, a lost civilization about which we know very little, but which is believed to predate the Incas by many centuries. In 1868, an extraordinary discovery further complicated the already dense mystery of Easter Island. One of the moai statues had strange unknown signs engraved on the back. These glyphs turned out to be part of an even more enigmatic script called Rongorongo, a series of signs carved on wooden tablets that seem to represent an ancient form of writing. Despite the efforts of linguists and archaeologists, the Rongorongo script remains undeciphered. This discovery suggests that the inhabitants of Easter Island not only possessed advanced sculpting skills but also a sophisticated writing system. The question that arises is, where did this knowledge come from? Scholars have long debated the origin of the Rongorongo script and have hypothesized that it could be a form of proto-writing developed independently on the island. However, other theories suggest that it might have common origins with other ancient scripts found in different parts of the world. But until we can decipher it, the mystery will persist. At this point, we must ask ourselves, who were the ancient inhabitants of Easter Island? How did they arrive on this remote island, and how did they develop such a sophisticated culture? Despite numerous theories and hypotheses, the truth remains shrouded in mystery. But do not despair. With each new discovery, with each new piece added to the puzzle, we get closer to unraveling the secrets of Rapa Nui and its ancient people. And perhaps, one day, we will fully understand the history and significance of this incredible island and its enigmatic statues. Thank you for following us on this journey to discover the mysteries of Easter Island. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming videos on mysteries and legends from around the world.